Okay, in this video I'm going to provide a brief demonstration of how to recode a variable into another variable with a new set of value codes, or to recode a variable into itself using a new set of value codes. So what I have in R, I've actually already generated the data set. So basically I read in data into a data frame. It's called my data, and so I read in a CSV file into this into R and called it up, so my data, and so you can see the different variables that are included in this particular data frame. And what we're going to do is just basically recode the donate variable. So with the donate variable, we have values of 0 and values of 1. Value of 0 just indicates an intention not to donate, in this case to a political cause. A value of 1 reflects an intention to donate. And so for the purposes of this demonstration, what we're going to do is recode the donate variable into a new variable with values of 1 and 2 respectively. So what we'll do is, to do this, we're going to use this set of commands right here that I've kind of written out in a Word document. So you'll see right here that first off we're going to create a data object that's called old values, and this is an arbitrary name, but it's a pretty intuitive naming system that I saw on the web, so it was a nice name for it. And then you have an arrow, so you have the less than and then a dash signs, and then you've got C, and inside the parenthesis you've got the old values. So and there basically you have a value of 0 in quotation marks, comma, a value of 1 in quotation marks. Then we're going to do the same thing with new values, but in this case we're going to put the new values inside the quotation marks. So we'll start off there, and so in this I'm just going to go back to R here, and I'm going to type it in. So I'm going to type in the old values, and then my less than, and then a dash, so that basically is an arrow. Then I'll type in C in parenthesis, and then I'll type in 0 inside quotation marks, comma, quotation marks 1 in quotation, and then in parenthesis. So now I'll hit enter, and next I'll do the same thing with new values, but with the new values included. So new values, my little arrow, C, then 1, comma, and then 0, 1 and 2, excuse me. And remember, you have to have those enclosed in quotes, then my end parenthesis, and hit enter. So at this point, what we can do is we'll now create a new my data data set. So take the data frame, and where you see the little dollar sign, following it is the name of the new variable. So we're going to create a new variable that's going to be included in the my data data frame. That's just basically going to be called dr. And then you'll see the arrow followed by new values, and then inside brackets, which is a little hard to see right here, but inside the brackets you see it says match, and then inside the parenthesis further you'll see my data, the dollar sign, and then the original variable that we're recoding from. Then you'll see a comma, then old values. So you'll notice that basically this is identifying the variable in the original data frame that we are recoding, and this is going to produce a data frame that includes the new variable that reflects the recoding of this old variable. So at this point, what we'll do is we'll type this in. So I'm just going to type in my data, then dollar sign, and then the new variable name, which we'll just call dr, and then my little arrow right here, and then type in new values, then bracket, and then match, and then inside the parenthesis we'll type in the my data, that's again our original data frame name, and then the variable that we're recoding. So I'm going to type in donate, which is the original name in the data set, then follow it with a comma, and then old values. So essentially we're matching the values, and then essentially creating a new variable. So at this point we'll end parenthesis and then in bracket right here, and then we'll hit enter, And so now when we look at the data set, just the my data, when we hit enter, you'll notice that now we have a column, the last column in the data set in this case, we now have our new variable is called dr. So we essentially recoded the original, the original donate variable with values of 0 and 1 right over here. Excuse me, it's a little hard to do this, but donate with zeros and ones over here into the new variable, which if we kind of scroll down, you can see the new variable with values of 1 and 2. So that's it right there. So at any rate, let's say that we want to recode the dr variable into zeros and ones. So let's just say we want to do the reverse, but in this case, we'll just recode itself. So can we do that? Well, yes, we certainly can. And in this particular case, we'll use the same approach with old values and new values. So we'll start off there. So I'll go down here to the very bottom and I'll type in old values and then my little arrow, then C, and then inside the parentheses we'll type in 1, inside quotes, comma, and inside quotes we'll have 2. And then hit enter, and then we'll do new values with C, and inside the quotes we'll use the 0 and 1 respectively. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll do our my data, and in this particular case we're going to use, instead of using a new variable name like we did before where we created dr, in this case we're just going to basically save over dr. So instead of using the ones and see a column of dr values of 1 and 2, we'll have a column of values on dr of 0 and 1. So now what we'll do is we'll incorporate our little arrow and then new values, and then open bracket, and we'll say match, and then we'll have my data $, and then dr. So you can notice that it looks the same as what we had before, and that's because we're basically saving over the dr value with the new values. So in this case we'll just have a little comma and then old values in parentheses and then in bracket and hit enter. And so now when we look at my data, you'll see that now that last column that we had just previously converted to ones and twos, now this column has values of 0